It is an Anglo-French final. It is Saints against Bordeaux. Did anybody pick Northampton around the table?
It was good to see it was Pollock and Dowson after the game.
Yeah.
I haven't had that.
You never leapt into the arms
No,
of your
I've never
coach before?
leapt into the arms of my DOR.
It's the fearlessness of youth in some ways.
If you want somebody to come on and be destructive and bring energy, he's got something that the rest of them don't have.
Does Leinster's loss at the weekend harm the chances of Prendergast?
No.
If you believe the media, it has. Has anyone else ever got a name so catastrophically wrong as Prestergarden?
It's not that far off.
Sorry.
Prendergast.
Prestergarden. I mean, you couldn't have got it any. I mean, you got a sort of similar letter. So,
Maybe I knew what I was doing and it was just starting the mind games.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Into the final moments, Alex Payne trying to keep this side going forward. Haskell takes it on now with just relentless chat, largely about himself. And there's Tyndall to add the finishing touch of glamour and World Cup winning stories. That is how you podcast.
Hello, Dream Team. Bonjour, l'équipe de rêve. And a very warm welcome, that'll become apparent in just a moment or two, to this week's episode of The Good, the Bad and the Rugby, proudly sponsored, as always, by our very good friends at Continental Tyres, who are the official tyre partner of England Rugby. Whether on the rugby field or the road, you can trust Continental Tyres for exceptional safety, performance and grip, Hask.
What a weekend. Sorry, it's very contrived.
Reading is a tough.
Yeah, it's quite tough. No, it's
you.
one of those things like, what a weekend of rugby. Something I always say.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of huge significance for the Investec Champions Cup. It feels like the whole of English rugby is behind Northampton, doesn't it, Johnny?
Yeah.
In a way. The first English side to reach the final in 5 years. I was gripped. I was excited.
It was a sensational match. But before we get into the debrief, John,
I'll read my line.
Yeah. Could you please fire into your line?
And if you don't already do so, please subscribe, turn on your notification bell and fire into the comment section.
Thank you. It's a little bit like Shakespeare, this, where the actor's actually walking around holding the script and sort of reading rather than acting.
I like it.
You've got another line?
I do have another line.
It's a sort of
it's very
ambient
exciting.
improv.
Johnny, I hear our audience were enthralled with your pronunciation of Sam Prestergarden.
Do I need to respond?
Did you get any feedback?
No, I saw.
I should have actually, with hindsight, I should have said, Johnny, we'll have another go at that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I just let it go. And now it's grown its
I think it's quite
own legend.
Has anyone else ever got a name so catastrophically wrong as Prestergarden?
It's not that far off.
Sorry.
Prendergast.
Prestergarden. I mean, you couldn't have got it any. I mean, you got a sort of similar letter. So,
Maybe I knew what I was doing and it was just starting the mind games.
Or is it?
Yeah.
So can we have one go? We'll
said,
tie it
John?
up now.
Prendergast.
There we go, you see.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, once bitten, twice shy. Right, for those of you who are watching rather than listening, let's just explain where we are at the moment, because you'll have noticed we're not in our usual surroundings. Well done for the observational pickup. Johnny has popped down the road from Angoulême. How far's that, 40 minutes?
About 40 minutes from here,
Have you been down here before?
Yeah, we've visited here. We're close to Bordeaux, La Rochelle, with Ile-de-Ré. And yeah, it's quite accessible, Angoulême. We can get to Biarritz, so see lots of France.
And we are being hosted for the next 48 hours or so at the House of Rémy Martin in Cognac. And we've got a very exciting few days planned here in France. We're going to be getting into some incredibly exciting opportunities, which we'll bring you a little bit later on. But for now, I'm delighted to say we're going to be enjoying the wonderful hospitality. So Max, if you're happy to come in, we've done a lot of talking about it, and now we get to sample some of the goods, which is incredible. A little nightcap as we record the show on Monday evening.
Come and sit down. Come on,
have a quick seat and tell us what we got.
It's a very beautiful man brought in. That's lovely,
It
isn't it?
smells amazing.
Sophisticated,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
I've just prepared 3 glasses for you. Beautiful VSOP, Cognac Fin Champagne from Rémy Martin, obviously.
Amazing.
VSOP stands for Very Superior Old Pale.
Or like Alex, embodiment of Alex, very superior old pale.
Good.
Invented in 1927, so almost a century ago.
Wow.
And beautiful blends of different eau de vie inside, aged at different level. And you will perfectly savor it. I've heard you love to savor things.
Yeah.
That will be your treat.
You are very
Just
kind
take your
indeed.
time, smell it, sip it.
Pass one down to
just
Johnny.
enjoy it.
Johnny, you can smell. I
Yeah,
know
go
you're
on, John.
a
Don't
highly
be
tuned
scared.
athlete, so you won't
Well,
actually
you think
be
with
drinking.
Johnny's nose, he can smell what's coming tomorrow, let alone what's here. What are you getting, Johnny? Don't put it too close, it'll go straight up there.
Oh, that is amazing.
I'm getting vanilla, bit of apricot.
Yep.
You read the tasting notes.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No, I didn't. I'm a professional.
You've cheated.
You can drink mine as well.
I will.
Max, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
for
Max.
having
Very
to
kind
you.
of
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Round
Max.
of applause
Round
for
of
Max,
applause.
ladies and gentlemen. Live show. We'll let you take the tray as well. Do you want to take that with us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, we're going to get at all things Investec Champions Cup in just a moment or two. There is so much to talk about off the back of 2 unbelievable games this weekend. Before we do that, though, a quick note, because the good, the bad and the rugby are going to be live on stage inside Hampton Court Palace.
That's exactly what's happening. The Good, the Bad, the Rugby is going live on Sunday, the 15th of June, and you are all invited. I mean by all, I mean everybody.
It says expect plenty of rugby chat. Expect some rugby chat, I think, is just
If producer Tom's making us read the script, a lot of rugby chat, but we don't allow him to write scripts.
We'll be getting into some of the behind-the-scenes stories. There'll be a deep dive into the Lions tour, obviously with the announcement on Thursday, all in a setting that is fit for a king.
Yes, and if you want to go big, there is the Beers and Bowls package, which gets you amazing food, drinks, and a meet and greet before the show.
It's going to be a very good afternoon. It is Father's Day. Come and grab a ticket or two. We'd love to see you there. And
would you like to come as the court jester, maybe?
do you want to make
What's
an
the
appearance?
date?
15th of June.
You should have said I'm busy and then asked the date.
Yeah, I might be around.
Good.
Yeah, well, come along. Shall we
maybe.
get into it? And I mean, it was a mega weekend. It sort of felt like, for those of us who are nostalgic and have watched this tournament for many, many, many years, it felt like the great days of yesteryear, particularly the performance that we saw from Northampton and Dublin. It is an Anglo-French final. It is Saints against Bordeaux, heading to Cardiff in a few weeks' time. Did anybody, I'm going to tear it up, did anybody pick Northampton around the table?
It's going to shock you.
Not me.
Not you.
Did you actually consider it, or did you put it into ChatGPT?
I don't use ChatGPT as much as you do.
Right, okay.
I'm well, in a way.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Did you genuinely have a gut feeling for them?
yes, I did a bit, and I also just went.
Your eyes lie. Your eyes lie.
Well, your mouth's talking nonsense. Your eyes are saying you're a liar. No, to be honest with you, I just went against the zeitgeist because nobody gave them a chance.
Yep.
I know what a proud team they are. I also know that so last season they went away. I think it was to. Was it Munster?
Yeah, one Munster. Yeah,
and I remember speaking to Phil Dowson after the game, and just his mindset around preparing the team and kind of the fact that, honestly, nobody gave him a chance.
Yeah.
There's always that possibility, and that's why rugby is such a great game, is because if you get it right on the day, if you get a good start, and you're psychologically prepared, you can put that performance in. Yeah. And I just thought that, give him a sniff. Did I think it would go like it did? No. But what's really interesting is when you look back at all the press, everyone thought it was going to be an absolute drubbing.
Yeah.
An absolute
Everybody did, didn't they, John?
Seriously,
everybody did. Do you want to just remind everyone of your...
Yeah, I thought Leinster by 20, I thought they were too good. I thought they were going to be too good for Saints. With Saints had Bristol at home the week before.
Yeah.
And although they won, they let in a few points, and I just thought Leinster are just too good. Were they at 100% on the day? Probably not. And like we spoke before, I think they're just used to winning by so much. And you drag them into a contest and it gets uncomfortable for them. And the longer that goes on, the harder it became for them.
Can I ask you about the mindset? Because we had Courtney on last week and we were talking about the fact that whenever you cut, this was a week ago, whenever you cut to the Northampton Saints coaching box, normally it's Sam Vesti, but there's always a smile and sort of Phil Dowson goes with it. But you can feel that as coaches, they're really enjoying it. And I think that was even more prevalent at the Aviva. There were points of the game where they just had a man in the bin and they were 2 up. And Sam Vesti, you can actively see him laughing about it. And you couple that, I thought it was really interesting when the teams ran out, the Northampton subs who lined the tunnel. It felt like they were clapping the team into someone like WWE SmackDown. Yeah. It was a really energetic, excited, go get it, rather than we got to do this, we play rugby type thing. It feels like they've just slightly moved the dial, and they did say it afterwards, but they've moved the dial from we're here to play rugby to we are here to enjoy everything that happens. And I just love to know your view on being part. Have you been part of an environment where it's all about enjoying it and going for it, rather than this is what we've practiced and what we've got to do?
I think it's credit to the team, the coaches, the environment, the players, because like you said, they've just seen it as an opportunity. Such a great opportunity to play against this great team in this great location in a high-stake match. And they've made it something to look forward to and fun. And in doing that, they just took the pressure off themselves and they really did have nothing to lose. And that's when you do play your best rugby. It looked like they were free to go out there, express themselves, go for an offload, hit a line, express yourself. And yeah, you're right. They did really enjoy it. And when you're enjoying it and the pressure's off and you're with your mates and you've got a tight connection, you're going to play your best rugby. It was good to see. It was Pollock and Dowson after the game.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't had that
Have you never leapt into the arms of
No,
your
I've never
coach before?
leapt into the arms of my DOR
I'd
before.
love to have seen you do that with Eddie, both of you.
But
Take
no,
him
I think like they haven't had the season they wanted in the Premiership. They're obviously a fantastic team with lots of great players, and they just got it right on the day. They've built it right. They've built the mood. They've built the challenge up. They've embraced everything that's being said about them and turned it around to use it as ammunition. And yeah, they outplayed them. And even though I didn't think they would win, I thought Leinster would be too good.
By 20.
By 20, I really did think they would be too good. Well done, Northampton. It was fantastic.
I don't think you can underestimate mobilising the mob. Like, having a common enemy is the best way to motivate anyone.
What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is no one gave any Northampton any respect. They went to Leinster with, in their mind, nothing to lose. So as a coach, it's very easy to mobilise a team and go, nobody gives you any respect. Nobody believes you're going to win. They already think they've booked tickets for Cardiff. You've got absolutely no pressure. Go out there and play with a smile on your face, because you ultimately have nothing to lose. Because if you do get pumped, everyone says you're going to get pumped. If you do pull something out of the bag, then that will galvanise a team. And I think that's some of the nicest ways of doing things. And I think some coaches I've worked with have got it wrong, where they've put up headlines where pre-game, I won't mention which coach was, put up pre-game and it was all like, you know, you're all soft, you can't do this, you can't scrum, you can't, literally basically destroyed everyone's confidence. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know they were writing about us. But when you're going against Leinster, I think Phil Dowse just goes in there. They would have, I remember from my time in Northampton, training was fun, good set of guys. I think Fraser Dingwall's leadership's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
He spoke very well afterwards.
He speaks very well. If you look at, again, the point of social media, they're all on each other's pages commenting, you're going on the Lions, you booked a flight. They're all very together. They seem very good. And again, they're flattered to deceive in the Premiership, which will be even more irritating as a wider perspective because of how good they are. But they've got young players with nothing to lose that can go out there and play. And I think for me, that is one of the most powerful things, and then becomes a massive point of difference between the two sides. Because Leinster had all the expectation. Mm-hmm. They had all the pressure, all the kind of stuff that they had to get out on the field. Northampton had absolutely nothing to do other than go out and have fun. And as soon as you get that first try, and Finn Smith hits that mega line, beautiful little cultured grubber through, you know, Freeman gets on the end of it, you're like, well, that was relatively easy off a kick return. And suddenly you start believing, and then some of the physicality, and they start stopping people, and the breakdown becomes a bit of a fight. I just think all of that goes into it, and you suddenly go, wow, we can do this, and that's what happens.
I do actually wonder, your point about it not having gone very well in the Premiership, if by not having that, it's not a safety blanket, but as a second option, it was Saturday or bust for Northampton. We talk a lot about whether English clubs can actually compete on both fronts. Mm-hmm. I wonder, by not having the Premiership, whether Northampton they had nothing else to play for other than what was in front of them that afternoon.
But again, I think with a game like, I always remember going into those moments whenever I played for England, or whenever I played in a final, whenever I played in a semi-final, all those moments. Normally in professional sport, there's always a tomorrow. Yeah. There's always a tomorrow. There's always a way of carrying on. You sort of know that if you're in the first team squad, unless you have a catastrophe, you'll get another opportunity, and there'll be moments you can come back and you fight your way through. On days like that, there is no tomorrow. So there's no point saving yourself, and I think there's no point, you know, leaving anything out there. You've got to go for it. And when you are with your friends in the sunshine, playing rugby, and you're having fun, and you've got absolutely nothing to lose, and the coach has empowered you, and you're playing against some of the best, magic can happen. It can either go the other way, and honestly, when they started to claw their way back and it became very close, you thought, okay, this is the class, this is sophistication. Leinster have had a bit of a wobble because they're playing an attacking side who actually, with the blitz defence, played completely differently than they'd played before. You know, they obviously saw Glasgow got caught behind a gain line all the time. You know, they obviously played a different way, cross-field kicks, playing across it, nice little tight tip passes. You know, we talk about you know, Pollock's ability to beat people, but the interplay, forwards passing the ball out the back doors, different different runners at the line, you know, putting pressure on players with quick balls so they can't reset and they can't blitz. They did all those things, and you can't catch your breath, and suddenly you're making line breaks and stuff, and that is a perfect storm. On another day, you're half a bit pace off, they will catch you behind the gain line, you will get hit, and those moments don't come, but it was the perfect storm.
You have points in a career as an individual where you hit your hot streak. But are you seeing in Northampton that the arrival of Henry Pollock and the arrival of Finn Smith is actually elevating everyone? I mean, Mitchell has been quality, and he was fantastic at the World Cup. But he sort of almost seems to have gone to another level because Finn Smith has found an element of maturity. He's still a young guy, but he's much more comfortable perhaps than he was 18 months ago. And therefore Freeman is going up another gear as well. Are you seeing sort of the rising tide floating all Northampton
I think
players
quality breeds quality and improvement breeds improvement, and being in an environment with a lot of young boys who are all very good, playing well, improving, going through it together, they're obviously very tight as well. That's as best a place you want to be in terms of performance. Like you said, Pollock's just on a hot streak. Everything he's touching is going to gold. As a winger for Fremo, tries breed tries. The pressure's off you as a winger. You get an early try, it's the best thing in a game, that all of a sudden that pressure's off your back. When you're going into games having scored lots of tries, you're not stressed about scoring tries, so they naturally come more.
Yeah.
And people are looking for you because they know you can finish. You know, if I was a 10 and Johnny's great crossfield kicks, he can run it in from anywhere, you're going to look for it. You know, when you're looking for when Mitchell looks up and he sees Pollock run, he's going to hit him over other people. And it doesn't matter what people say, they will favour guys that they know. I said it before with me and Owen Redding, my relationship was, he would pass it across 4 players just to get it into my hands. And so I got more carries. I look better than
that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, it is. And also when you look fit, you've got Finn Smith, you've got confidence. Crossfield kick.
They've got those relationships, haven't they? They're tight. They've got their relationships. They trust each other. They back each other. Going back to your point about the Premiership being a write-off, I certainly think that does help them. Mindset-wise, there's nothing else to think about. There is no tomorrow. All they've got is this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. To go out there and make a story, which is what they did. And then you spoke about it as well. I do think the start is important. If you concede a try, the confidence is thin.
Yeah.
As much as you can make it to be very deep, and tell yourself you believe in yourself. If you go down 10 points, 3 points, all of a sudden the crowd get on top of you and it could become a different.
You saw it with Toulouse. The only teams I ever played in my career were kind of South Africa's or particularly New Zealand, when you could get a couple of tries and you were like, they are still as dangerous as they were at the start. Other teams, you're like, okay, we've got them on the back foot here. And then obviously there will be times when they'll creep back into it. I think asking, Johnny, about kind of the excellence stuff, very famously when Ronaldo went back to Man United, even though it didn't work out, he wasn't eating dessert, he was doing extra training, he was setting standards. I think when you have a coaching staff with, and Sam Vesti's, I remember, really attention to detail, very, very enthusiastic coach, very, very good, galvanising the guys, very, very much encouraging them to play and to be brave. I think when you're in a training session or a squad like that, where guys are going well, everyone's doing the work they're required, you look at Langdon, you look at Coles, all these other guys who are doing their jobs that require no skill as well as adding value. It just breeds standards, because if you aren't working hard, if you aren't doing the extras, if you aren't turning the party line, if you aren't adding value, you stand out like a sore thumb. When things are falling apart, it can become very disparate and you suddenly become about yourself. And when Eddie came back in after Stuart Lancaster in 2016, he suddenly made training all about fun, but purposeful. And you were encouraged to work hard. Like Johnny, even though he was serial killer levels of intensity in regards to his the protocol or whatever he calls it, the process, you just look at Johnny and go, well, he's doing it. He's training. He's icing.
So we're talking about Wilkinson rather than May.
No. Jonny May. Yeah. I mean Jonny May in terms of his professionalism. As a player, if you weren't going to the stretching sessions, you weren't being dedicated, you weren't icing, you weren't going to do recovery, you weren't doing the extras, you suddenly stand out like a sore thumb because suddenly training was being fun, the coaches were encouraging you to be fun, and all of that breeds things together. The problem is, after a while, if the wheels come off, then when the coaches start getting pressured, then that filters down to everybody. But, like I said, I just think they're in a good spot at the moment where you've got a lot of young guys all wanting to work hard, all prepared to put the extras in, and as you said, when you're playing with people with confidence around you, I'll never forget playing with guys like Billy Vanapola when he was younger, and the confidence he'd bring. Come what may, his point of difference is ball carrying, and he would do it every game, and he'd offload, and you would look at it and go, maybe my game's not as good as I wanted it to be, but you look at him. You look at Tommy Freeman scoring tries. There's guys that will always carry you forward, and will always bring you with them. And if they're going well, by reflected glory, it brings you going well. Makes you going well.
The thing that I find so interesting about this Northampton team, though, is it rips up and goes against almost everything that we've always heard about rugby, which is as a young kid, and you lived this,
Yeah.
as a young kid, you come into an established setup. I'm not sure when Northampton is as established as Wasps was back in the day, but you had to earn your way into Lawrence's respect, etc., and Wurzels, and you were a kid for a long time in that team, whereas these youngsters have come in.
Well, the lunatics running the asylum,
yeah, a little bit. But it's the fearlessness of youth in some ways, which is they've given them the space to be whoever they want to be, and it just feels.
That's a very astute point.
It feels very modern.
It was a very astute
compared
point
to what we used to.
Because if you looked at if Dylan Hartley was still there and Courtney was still there and Tamara Harrison was still there, and so there's guys that have moved
Pollock
on.
would be suspended from the ceiling by his top strap.
Probably. But I mean, I think if you played well, the one great leveler with all these teams is if you played well at a physical and turned up, you were forgiven your stuff. Perhaps maybe not Leicester. I genuinely, I can't spirits, but I know that was much more of a culture of like, listen, we're all in it together. Most teams at Wasps, they allowed me to be me because I turned up. Physically, few people tried it on, and I came back at them and dealt with it, and that was fine. Then there wasn't a soft underbelly. With those guys, the whole team is youthful. Fraser Dingwall was the captain. He was a guy that he's played for a while, but would you mark him down as kind of a Dylan Hartley-esque kind of character around the club? I wouldn't say he was. I'd say probably he is now. It's a very different mindset. If you look at Leinster, however, when they played against Glasgow and won so well, but you've got Geordie Barrett in there, you've got R.G. Snaman in there, you've got Caelan Doris. All these guys are established people. Cian Healy, obviously, previously. They've got loads of guys in there that kind of have that older head and experience, but a much more established team would probably have much more of a hierarchy. Like Northampton, they don't know any different, so they just do it their way. And there's no old ways of doing things, which sometimes you lose with perhaps the ability to back up winning the Premiership. Being able to kind of go and eke those wins out. But when it's going well, it's probably you'd rather that than the old establishment.
Yeah, a couple of things I like is they obviously are mates.
Yeah.
Like they're of the same age, that they're tight, that they've got good relationships, good chemistry, good banter. And that definitely brings them together. Another thing that was great is like the likes of Coles and Langdon like stepping up, like how amazing is that? You're coming against this superstar team with internationals everywhere. And I know Coles has got a cap and things like this, but they've played against the best players in the world as club players, really, and showed like the sky's the limit for these boys when they're bringing the best out of each other, and the occasions there that they can be as good as they want to be. They've got more in them. And just going back to the nature of the game, like momentum's a funny thing because when anybody's receiving or you're getting something, it's taking from the other team. So that fast start, that good start, you've been there when you're thinking, oh, this is a game we've got, like they've scored one, you're under the post, you're thinking, right, the next one, they score again. And then, like I said, Northampton are just growing, that they're building confidence, they're enjoying themselves more, they're thinking this is bloody brilliant, like we're into the game, Freeman's got an early try, he can go out and do what he wants now, Pollock scores, and this just the whole atmosphere and pressure that Leinster team doesn't normally face ate away at them.
But you also did see as well, Jamaica Gibson Park, two great plays through Prendergast and scoring in the corner pretty easily.
Yeah.
There was two occasions where they basically
Taps.
walked, quick taps,
Yeah.
but also some plays for some midfield stuff and went and basically scored pretty quickly. I think Northampton were fantastic. Leinster, but it's still a very close game. Like Leinster weren't bad. When they turned it on and they did what they did, they cut them apart quite easily, and that was the interesting thing. The attack was the most magnificent part of both bits because both sides. Because when they got it right, they were finding space all over the place, which in a modern game it's very rare to find.
Can you name me another back rower who could or did score tries like Pollock, like the one he scored?
Tom Croft.
That's a very good shout.
Young James Forrester.
That's a very good shout as well.
Yeah, he was quick.
Yeah.
Every generation, every 10 years or so.
Dan Wall-Smith. Fuck me, there's loads of them.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, every generation, every 10 years or so, like the new additions come in, like the next generation. And I had it with somebody like Zam or somebody like Henry Arundel, like they're just better. They're like, and it's how the game should be, and you've got to embrace it. You're not expecting the next generation to come in smaller, slower, less fit, less far. Like it is just what happens. The game moves on. He's an upgrade, and it's how the game should go. And he is he's lightning. I think he's different. Like you said, who else can do it? He's lightning quick. I've seen. I don't saw it on, like his bench press, his GPS, all those. Like he's running 10 meters a second, and that would have been quick and like that's international wing speed.
Yeah.
Pollock, 21 tackles, top of the log. Got to more defensive rucks than anyone else. 21, top of the log. There's Grunt in there as well.
Yeah, but again, but there was no question about that. I get what.
But no, my point. There was no question about that. But this is probably the biggest game he's played.
Yes.
Your England debut is enormous, but they were 35 points up when he came on. This was the challenge. Can you do what we all know you can, but at a level that is a European semi-final?
That's why I've never had any doubts about him not being a good, not being a player that's ready to do it, because he's not the biggest unit in the world, but his physicality, his competitive nature, his athleticism, his desire to put himself in harm's way and to be physical and to put the work rate is unquestioned, because you've seen it time and time again. There are a lot of players that I found out who have only one or two dimensions to them that are fantastic carriers, but they go missing with a tackle. And it's very weird to think that you can be a very physical carrier and have an absolute pea heart when it comes to defence. And there's a laundry list of those guys who don't want to do the work. We've seen guys for England that will turn up when it's time to carry, but they won't be there when the opposition's kept the ball for 5 minutes against your line and you need them to put their head in it.
Yeah.
He, from all we know, and I've only met him once and spoken to him on an interview, but we know that he has that commitment and that desire. It's the same thing with some of these other guys that that I've been tried and tested that have that ability. And I just think, for him in particular, what will be interesting now is I have every faith that he will go and have an amazing career. But whenever you do well, there is that phenomenon of kind
Ebbs
of
and flows.
Again, the human psychology is such a powerful tool that if you're playing well, everyone's telling you you're great, you're doing well, and everything you touch goes to goal. It builds momentum. Equally, second season syndrome, we see other things. Very few people go on and keep going nuclear. If they do, they become the GOATs. I think he has all the potential to do it. I think he's brilliant. I think there's a lot of very, very good back row. It was only 6 months ago we were talking about Ben Earl being the greatest thing since sliced bread in a different capacity.
Yeah.
But was he player of the World Cup? Did we say for England or
he was England player of the World Cup?
England player of the World Cup
for the tournament.
He's not saying he's dipped in form, but these things change. The landscape moves very fast in life, even faster in sport. So I'm very excited by him. I believe he is the real deal. We will just keep seeing how it progresses.
What do you think other nations are going to make of him? And I ask that because as an England fan, you sort of hate good players in other teams, but there are some that you also have an enormous respect for, McCall, Carter, etc. You can see what they do as, you can value them within the game. Is he going to cop a lot over the next few years?
I think
from what
I've seen, I think he enjoys that anyway.
Yeah. Or do you think other nations fans will love him because of
I think the game loves characters and personalities, regardless of what nation you're from. You want to see personalities, great players, stars of the game, and with regards to other team, other opponents, what they'll think of him, that they'll have to respect him.
Yeah.
Because he's deadly. Like we were talking about athleticism and the qualities he's having. It's such a deadly combination to be that athletically explosive and fit.
Yeah.
Because he's running around like a Duracell bunny, like a Tasmanian devil, like these enormous athletic efforts. And he scored that try. I know he took his pulse, but he didn't look like he was out of breath.
Do you like the celeb?
Pardon?
Do you like the celeb?
I didn't understand it. What is it?
Well, it probably needs some expression. I don't know. Is he setting pulses?
Nobody knows, but it's provocative. It gets the people going.
Talking about it. I'm disappointed Tommy didn't roll out the lawnmower again. That would have been. It just went back to the wagging finger.
So when we talk about the England side, for example, when Borthwick first took over, and I think back row was Jack Willis, a couple of other guys. Do you think South Africa or New Zealand would have looked at the England back row and gone, "Oh, I'm worried about any of them"? Genuinely. Now you look at Jack Willis's progression to go to Toulouse and to develop into the man that we knew he could become, the player. You'd now, if you were playing him, you'd be worried. You'd go, "I've got to deal with him because he's going to be an absolute nuisance." You look at someone like Pollock, I think at the moment, there's still a lot of stuff to progress, but I think that he could get a turnover. He has an X-factor ability that can cause you problems. You've got to ask these serious sides.
That is a very good point.
Who are you worried about? And like in the heat of an international battle, again, remember that European rugby is big, international rugby is bigger and tougher. Do you think that, someone like Ardie Sevilla is looking at him going, I'm not saying he will or he won't. I'm just saying it takes a bit of time to progress, to get mileage. You now look at Jack Willis. Jack Willis is somebody that an international team will look at, think about. When he was playing for Wasps, he had all the ability to do it, and he would do it once or twice in a game, but did he have the physical edge? Were you worried about him? I'd say no. I'd say you're worried about him now. I think Ben Earl probably didn't. Now he does. Billy Van Pola, you're always worried about because you're running over the top.
That's what I was thinking.
Joe Worsley, you're worried about because he cut in half. Lawrence Alalia, you'd be worried about. Neil Back, you'd be worried about. It takes time.
But you also have to earn that.
That's what I mean. But I'm saying the one thing that he has in his favour more than anything else is out of all the back row, and you said this earlier, on a loose ball, he gets a turnover, he will go in and score, and he's done it, and he can do stuff that nobody else can do. I just think when you're talking about other international teams, it's a 15-man game. I would say that the more you go, the more a target you put on your head, which some people really thrive on, and it gets the best out of them. But, some people get filled in. I mean, Court, Hooper, Pocock, every game they were targeted. Every time they were getting headbutted, late hitted, they thrived. While you were looking for one of them, somebody else would pop up. Kieran Reid would turn up and score in the corner. So it all has its effect. I just think it takes time for those things to progress. And I think it would be really exciting to say, but I think it's a bit too eager or a bit too excited to say, do you think teams are going to be really worried about it? I'm not sure yet. Andy Farrell's going to start him in a test against Australia. I'd say romance says you should absolutely. Do you think he should? I don't know. I mean, that's exciting rugby.
Just very quickly, do you think his point of difference, how many back rows will go? 6 in the 38?
Well, there's ones that can cross over between second row and back row potential, or ones that can do both, so I don't.
Okay, so let's say if you're taking 6, does his point of difference force his way into that, or because he hasn't got the experience and the mileage of?
I'd say he does. I'd say about all of them, yes. I think of all the people I would take him because if you look at Underhill, Underhill could be playing in the final.
He played brilliantly.
He played in the final. We know his point of difference is physical collision. You know what he's going to get. Curry brothers, similar. You look at Jack
Ben
Morgan, similar. Ben Earl. Caelan Doris, obviously, I know he's got a shoulder injury potentially. He might be out. He's having shoulder surgery. We don't know the extent of it. Josh Van der Fleer, again, slightly different. But, So, yeah, I think he does.
Farrell.
If you want somebody to come on and be destructive and bring energy, he's got something that the rest of them don't have. He is out of the Tom Croft kind of mould of back row player, really.
I said it about the 10s last week. It really isn't just listening to the names Hask's reeled off. It's so much quality there, and it really isn't who's better than who. It's
what is the blend?
It's what is Andy's plan for this team, and there's so many arguments for everyone, but to argue Pollock's way onto the plane, for me, it's the speed, that point of difference, the energy he has.
Is he really doing 10 seconds at 10
meters?
Yeah, well, that's mental. That's mad.
It's insane.
I can do it in my car.
And then also, when you're building a squad and you're going away on tour, and it's great to have a young lad. Can you imagine? Yeah. I can imagine he'd take to it so well, but imagine getting him to make the teas and the coffees and giving him a hard time.
Making him carry that line
making
around.
Him carry the line. It's all part of the experience, the fun, the cohesion, the team spirit. And he looks like he is a character, isn't he? So bring him along, get stuck into him, ground him a little bit, but bring the best out of him, teach him a lesson.
And I think he'd thrive.
It could work. It could work. But that's Andy's decision.
Yeah,
I think as well, what I love about Lions stuff, and obviously we're bombarded with, Terry Smith, you've got one cap for England's Lions side, and, or people are just pulling out Lions sides out of everywhere, and there's a whole load of romance about Lions. Lions is not built in the 6 months that everyone thinks it is. Because it'd be madness to do that. Obviously Andy Farrell's been looking at this for a period of time. He's known he was a Lions coach for a while. You're looking at putting different elements together on a very attritional tour in Australia against a resurgent Australian side, trying to find a team that can go, that's got experience, that won't be caught in the headlights, that will have the ability to deliver, while picking people on form that can add value. And listen, people play themselves in and out. 2009, Joe Worsley played himself in. I played myself out, he played himself in, and he was incredible and ended up going to the line. That those things can happen, but there's still a spine of a team. You don't just go, everyone's on form, and put them in the mix and play. It's just not how it works. And I love all the romance, the excitement, and the hyperbole. It's the best thing about rugby. They're going there to win. Andy Farrell's are going to win. He's not there to go to make romance. And his career and legacy is based on whether he goes to Australia as his first headlines coach to win.
Yeah.
And just because, so-and-so's doing well against somebody.
So I completely understand what you're saying, and you both know far more than I do. I just think if you're building a 38-man squad, I would put 34 in who've got the bank of experience and knowledge, and they've played in big finals and they've played in Grand Slam deciders, and I'd have 4 who are just on a rocket ship trajectory.
Yeah, but I didn't say that. I didn't say you couldn't have that. I think you do need those guys. Can you see it, Simon Taylor?
Ugo in 2009.
Ugo.
And that's the thing about the Lions is you have some great players who never become a Lion, and you have some good players who are great Lions.
Yes.
People like Paul Wallace in '97. He did a good job. John Bentley, Jeremy Davison, Alex Courbeisiere would be a more recent one in 2013. He would be a great Lion for the role he played in the first and third test, but you probably wouldn't put him down as your.
No, would you have said he was like the starting loose head of no?
He was done by injuries, but that's why he knows obviously far more. We'll find out on Thursday, but it just feels like that there are players whose time has come, or they're making their time happen.
Look at Tommy Freeman. You can't not take him. James Lowe, you're not going to not take him. Maritoji, you're not going. I mean, Maritoji. I think if Caelan Doris is not involved, I'm a massive fan of Caelan Doris. I said he should be Lions captain. I think that decision not to go for posts in the last minute was utter madness. I know people say what because
why did they do that?
I honestly do not know.
Crazy.
So do you know what?
I'll tell you what haunts me. 9-6 Harrow versus Wellington, kept going for the corner, and we lost. And we had 5 kicks at opportunity. We could have kicked it over and won. And I was so confident. We fell short every single time, penalty. And we lost an unbeaten season because of my arrogance and ability not to take the points. I just never thought of it. You're in a final. It doesn't matter where you are. You take the points. You take the draw. You go into extra time. You eke it out. And I think Leinster would have beaten them in extra time because they were just starting to get the momentum. But you shit your pants and you go for a
Do you know what it reminded me of? Was Eddie Jones and Japan-South Africa. And he said the whole game plan was about getting the Springboks worried that they weren't doing what everyone thought they should be doing, which is winning by 30. And when people like Jonny say in the week of the game, Leinster could win by 20, the reason they went for the win is that they were terrified they weren't going to deliver what everyone had told them they were going to do, as opposed to what they're playing in front of them.
I listen. You might be right. You might 100%. You might be right, but it's busy. And that now. So the thing is, what people forget is the captaincy, in particular in modern rugby, is sometimes ceremonial in some respects, and that you are maybe the one who says the final words is actually not like people think it is, because you've got so many leaders around you, and a lot of time the coaches make a decision. That's why, I've said this many times, Chris Robshaw's not taking the points against Wales. Stuart Lancaster and the coaches should have run that conal. They do it every time. Like, you will see in a game, the cone arrives before the referee, the captain's even told the referee what they want, because it's not his decision. It's the coach's decision. It's the water boy's decision. Someone else, it's everyone else, or the coach that spoke to the coach on the water boy, and they've told him to do it. Stuart Lancaster, they never made a decision. They left it up to Chris Roberts, but knowing full well you should have taken the points. So it's as much for them to blame as it was to him. Leinster not taking those points. As soon as I said that, Leo Cullen should have shouted down. The guy should have fucking turned up with a cone and a bottle of water, handed the referee on, boom, we're kicking for post. But no, he left it up to the guys. And look, you play percentages, but that is if I was a poker player, God knows what the percentage would have been of them scoring that last minute, the way the line out had gone. It would probably like 25%, 20%, 15%, I don't know.
Sorry, just going back to your point of building a squad. I agree with both of you, and I do think you've got to know, Jonny, because you've got to zoom out. Like, a Lions is picked every 4 years, and we're probably kidding ourselves if it's 36, 28 of them aren't already in pen after the Six Nations. But when you go on about picking these guys who are on the upward trajectory and stuff, you've also got to think about the non-starting. If he's got 28 in pen, he's probably got his 15 pretty much penned in. Yeah. And then you've got to think about who are good characters to bring, who is going to help lift the morale of the team, who's going to not kick stones if they're not picked. That all comes into it as well. And I've just, off the top of I know we spoke about George Ford last Monday, but look at what he did in the Six Nations. 98 caps.
Very true.
Sitting on 98 caps. He's got Finn Smith and Marcus. He's not getting a bloody sniff. He keeps his head down. He's professional. He's a great lad. He helps prepare the team. You train 15 on 15. You get more reps in practice, and the training weeks are so important, especially when you're a new team coming together. He would drive that non-15, give them good opposition. So there's arguments for that sort of thing as well. It really isn't who's better than who. It's getting that balance, those ingredients right.
Why are we spending so long talking lines, back row, and tens?
Pardon?
Why is it back row
Because
and
there's so
tens?
many. Because it's Finn Smith, Marcus Smith, Finn Russell,
Yeah.
Prendergast,
Obviously, Jack Crowley, Owen Farrell,
Owen Farrell, but George Ford,
Yeah.
right? And they all play different elements.
Yeah,
And the reason is
true.
because you're thinking about the bigger picture. You're not just thinking on.
There's an argument for any of them to go. There's an argument for any of them to go.
Does Leinster's loss at the weekend harm the chances of Prendergast?
No.
No, I don't think. At this point, I think he's made a decision.
If you believe
Yeah.
the media, it has. He look at his kicking stats, Oval Insights. Thanks very much. Lovely work. He's Prendergast kicking out of hand is better than anyone's in terms of kicking and success rate from doing what he's doing. And Finn Smith's got the most variety. The best goal kickers, Marcus Smith, 86%. The next nearest person is Finn Russell, 77.1%. They're not great. Owen Farrell's down at 71.4%. So it depends how you want to play. That really factors into what you want to do. It all depends on, who do you think is going to lead it, who's going to structure it. Finn Russell, is a brilliant, a fantastic mercurial player, but he's very much like, from what I can see, he's kind of his own vibe, whatever. You need, again, someone maybe like to steer the opposition. Finn Smith's just played how many caps at international rugby? It's a massive shout.
7 or 8.
Would you want to start him against Australia in the Lions?
Yeah.
The romance.
I know.
So it's 100%. That's a big step up.
It's a tough decision picking this line. It's very tricky, and there's so much quality. So just a well done to all the players. But it's true, like I know.
You're absolutely
it is
right,
true.
Joe. That's not the game we're playing for the next 4 days.
It is a well done to all the boys, because all they can do as a player is play out of their skins, which they have done. So much quality. Put your name in the hat. That's all they can do,
100%.
and it's a coach's decision. So it's I've been there as a player, and it's going to be a stressful week for these boys, but they're all great players in their own right.
Do you mind me asking, was this 2017?
No, 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
And you thought you'd done enough?
I thought I'd done enough, yeah.
And you would you'd had your headshots and...
No, we all, a lot of people get their headshots.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but you were part of the conversation.
Yeah, and my name was in the hat, and then I look back and think, well, I was never really, you look back at it and think, well, it was probably in pen that I wasn't really going with gaps, and I never knew him, but he went with people he'd played with and coached and had on previous tours. And yeah, I thought I did maybe deserve a go, but there's so many good players. There's an argument for everybody.
Yeah.
And some really good players are going to miss out.
Do you remember watching in the aftermath?
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, I met his alphabetical order.
Yeah.
So I sat there with my wife, and then it's Murray, and you is after it, and I was like, oh, fuck. But no.
Did you put your foot through the door? Or
No, I didn't really know what to think.
He does normally just put all the emotion deep down until in 10 years' time it's going to explode out.
It's not until after you can get perspective on it and understand it. But I did as best as I could. I played my best rugby for England. Played all the matches for 4 years. Did as well as I possibly could. We had a bit of a crappy Six Nations before. A Welsh coach, it didn't align for me. And we're talking about people who it's just not going to align for.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit.
It just
doesn't fit. It's just a moment in time. And going back to players again, like if I was Faz, I'd be thinking, bloody hell, I'd want to be getting the best out of Marcus Smith. Yeah, he's gone a little bit quiet. He's gone for it, but if we get him firing, what a weapon!
Yeah.
What a weapon he is. So there's excitement and opportunity for all these boys. And it's just such a controversial thing, isn't it?
There's also it's the alchemy of the ability to put them together and get the best out of them. Some line coaches do it. Clive Woodward, took ultimately talented side and made a meal of it. Not because he's a bad coach, but just because of the way he approached things and the way he did things and the chemistry and the structure. It's not easy to do. And I think just as these modern players are much more trained and exposed, they are much more isolated in terms of their social ability sometimes. It's a lot harder to get these kids off their phones, out their rooms, off their PlayStations, to sit there and talk and interact. And that's the first thing you've got to do, is get that honesty, that trust, that ability to look people in the face, to know that you're going to be away from your family for a long time, playing with players. You're going to have disappointments where you're not selected for no reason at all. You're going to have injury, you're going to have sickness, all these things that come into it. And, you know, what's really interesting about the tour is you get people who just fall away. Like some guys in 2017 that, you know, were just, might as well not been there. Some guys were absolutely thrived and became the best. Some guys went there with all the credit in the bank and fell out the arse end of it. But then, interestingly enough, in the next cycle, you know, sort of a year later, they were back to their very best and playing. And it's sort of, you know, that temporary form element, but the ability of the coach and Andy Farrell to get everyone singing on the same hymn sheet, to get them physically motivated, to get them to perform in the right way, to bring all different mentalities together. The real science is in the selection, and it does not come down to hype, does not come down to what the media say, does not come down to what washed-up hacks say. It's much more considered, and it certainly isn't fly by the seat of the pants, fucking just going with it because it's got romance written all over it. But however much you'd love to believe it.
That is the equivalent.
Touch on
for rugby
Faz as
fans.
well. He is a fantastic coach.
Yeah.
Like the boys he gets, he's going to get them buzzing. He's got a great support staff. I reckon they're going to batter Australia.
Do you?
Yeah,
Johnny,
I
can
reckon
we
they're
calm
going to.
down on the old...
Whoa,
I know. Last week was not a good one
Johnny,
for you.
I
Let's just
know,
take
but I just
let's
think
just put the brakes to the
I know,
I
Rémy Martin, BSOP, get one down his shit.
I know, but we're
You
talking
didn't hear that. Well, that doesn't need to go in the
need to
show.
calm
It does
down.
need to, because
Get
the
yourself
quality of
on
the
there.
players that we're talking about in all these positions, then you marry that up with the quality, with Big
then
Faz
who-
as a coach.
Jeremy
and-
Paul on
Paul.
G-Brands
On G-Brands,
Yes.
this week said Australia win 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh
Joe
no,
Schmidt,
they're going
mega
to
coach.
smoke them. I reckon they're going to smoke them.
Johnny, but this...
Do you know what the best thing is? We'll be
7 days
there.
ago.
We'll be there.
We will.
Hip flask in hand, VSOP. What?
Red
Doesn't matter what
corns.
the result is. I'm loving life. Vanilla, apricot.
What I do quickly want to say, or ask, is just a few questions on Leinster. So there has been, and I will accept the guilt of pumping this a little bit, there is a little bit now of...
What's that, Colin?
No, I wasn't going there. I was going more Leinster are not getting the job done when they need to. And I think 2001 is their last trophy. And when you think about, the fact it is 11 of the 15 Ireland contracted players, I think, are in the blue of Leinster. And then you bring in Geordie Barrett, Archie Snyman, you bring in Rabah Slimani, etc. They've now got Rico Ioane coming next year as well.
How good is that, by the way?
That's
We swapped Geordie Barrett for like Rico Ioane. It's like, I read that and I thought...
I'm looking forward to Rico and Johnny Sexton bumping into each other in a coffee shop.
I checked, I scrolled at the bottom, I thought it was like April 1st. I was like, this is mental.
I know.
They've basically just got one cheat code and delivered another one. I was like,
But is this now a problem?
Yeah, I mean, they're underachieving. They've got all the infrastructure and all the setup, all the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Infrastructure's a good word.
infrastructure's a good word.
Assets?
Pedigree.
Assets, no.
Pantaloons is another good word.
Marmalade.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gone.
That's all right.
Degustation's a good word.
Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but
Anti-establishment's a good word.
they've got all of it. They've got everything they could possibly need. They've got the money, the players, the coaching, the central contracts, and they're not getting the job done. And it is a performance business. Results matter, and they haven't achieved what's expected of them. So yeah, it is a problem.
When you look at things like that, you've got to go. It's got to be psychological.
Resources. They've got all the
Oh,
resources.
there we are. Got there in the
That
end,
was
didn't it?
driving me
Well done if you got
flipping
that, by the
mad.
Back in the UK, we just landed, but Johnny's come up with resources.
Into the mic as well, John. That
Excellent.
helps.
Resources.
It's a tricky word,
Yeah,
actually.
it is.
to be fair.
I need a
It
wee
is.
in a
It
minute.
is complimented.
Before we go on to Bordeaux.
Yeah, I'm getting bored of your chat. I was going to say though, I think I always look at it and then go, well, what's the great level of it? It's got to be psychological because great players.
Is that really a thing?
I think, but not what I mean is not in terms of like something tangible. It's just if I was a coach going, they're as fit, they're as strong, the talent pool's still great, the game plan's still great, we're winning. What is the one intangible that we have no control over that we probably need to put work in? And I have no idea about Leinster setup.
Yeah.
But having had 20 years of rugby teams experience, very little goes into spending time on that side of things. And I just wonder whether that's the difference and whether it's even perceptible or whether it's even subconscious. I just think you can't help but go into it. Like you can't help but if history repeats itself and there's association and there's a pressure, you can pretend all you want that it's not there, but you always have if you've had a negative experience with something, it doesn't matter if you're really positive about it. It'll always remind you. You'll always go somewhere when you've had or had a conversation with someone or some sort of issue, and it always remains, even if you're not aware of it. So I just wonder, it's because what do you do? Fire Leo Cullen and bring in somebody else to win the last 5%, the 10%. But is it 10%? Is it more than that? Looking at them, I think the game goes on for 10 more minutes. I think maybe they win. Yeah. I don't know what it is. So what is the smallest margin of error for correction? It's got to be psychological. I'd spend more time doing that next year and go, listen, you've got all the players, all the assets, all the team, all the money, all the resources.
Jack Nienaber, I mean, we talk about Barrett and Sneijman. I mean, they've got, double World Cup winning coach in the ranks as well. Curious, but definitely curious.
Great word.
Thank you.
Curious.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Right up there with the resources.
Yeah.
Bordeaux, Toulouse.
Cardigan.
Which you're desperate to talk about.
Can I pop to the toilet quickly?
You can. Yeah,
can
John, we'll have a little time out. We're back after this short break. Do you want to take the mic off?
No.
Take your time.
You have your mental break, Danny and Johnny, all right?
Just need a wee.
Okay.
Had a couple of ginger ales.
Complicated words. Bordeaux, Toulouse, want to chat about it?
Yeah. Should we just carry on?
Yeah,
Before you go there, may I just throw in a few little bits for the reader and the viewer?
Continental Tyres shock?
No. So, remarkably, Toulouse won the top 14 final 59-3 last year. So Bordeaux have served up a massive slab of revenge. It's their first ever Champions Cup final. Definite problems for Toulouse in terms of missing personnel. Dupont, Ramos, Kinghorn, Peter Malvaca, all absent. The thing that I think is, and I think part of the reason, it's been a very long time since I've shouted at the television in a club game. You know that I like to get heavily involved and invested. But I did find myself shouting at Northampton, Leinster. But I think that's partly also because it's been so dominated, this tournament, by Leinster, Toulouse and La Rochelle. And we've now got Bordeaux into their first final. Northampton, oh my God, what is he doing in there?
How good were those crisps? They
were super crisps, John. We're also halfway through our review of Bordeaux, Toulouse.
Our sound guys just heard him do a wee and he just heard this up.
He didn't. That didn't happen.
Right. We're in the home of Rémy Martin.
No, but
you are
was big
trumpeting into your microphone.
I should have said resources.
That would have drove me mad. I'm so relieved.
He went, come on, John.
We'd have to do a re-record.
And then he came back in again. And that is exactly what happened.
Can someone bring me some bog roll?
I've broken the toilet again.
Right.
And he came in and went, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to open with a good line. How good were those crisps?
Yeah.
It's like when
tactics.
It's like when someone doesn't know how to act as a normal human being, he just panics and reaches into the dark. It's like, what would a normal human being say? Yeah. How were those crisps?
Yeah.
Tyrrells.
Tyrrells. How good were Bordeaux? Let's have a quick summation of... They're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. It's funny, I think back to the the France-England game and doing hospitality before the game and talking at Penno and Bielle-Biarrey. Am I saying it right? Bielle-Biarrey.
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 Have another.
Bielle-Biarrey's
I don't want another.
Similar.
They are so good to watch. I love watching those boys play, and that try he scored at the beginning of the second half was just so good. It's a little bit like
it's all falling apart.
It's the best thing as a winger when you literally turn somebody inside out, and Aaron Reid did it for Sale, and Bielle-Biarrey does it to that poor scrum half.
Bielle-Biarrey, not Bielle-Biarrey.
But yeah, they weren't quite at the races at Twickenham in the Six Nations. Those two, after I pumped them up so much before the game. But no, Bordeaux are great to watch. Jalibert, those guys on the wing.
Who has the best strike rate? Tommy Freeman, Damien Penaud, or Louis Bielle-Biarrey?
I know this.
Well, John.
Yeah. Oh.
Who?
Barry.
Tommy Freeman.
Barry. He's from EastEnders.
Barry. Baz. Tommy Freeman, 21 tries in 26.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Bielle-Biarrey's 30.
Penaud is 21 and 22. Bielle-Biarrey is 30 and 26.
I've only scored one for Angoulême this season.
Have you really?
I know.
Are you on a bonus?
Pardon?
Are you on a bonus for that?
No.
Do you reckon they look at you and go, what, we should just
No,
burn
they
the
love
money?
you.
I hope
My
not.
taxi driver today was very excited. We were doing a podcast with John LeMay.
One try when your sole job is
but
scoring.
It's the cult.
They've hardly got him for front of house, have they? For
Well, you say that.
meet and greets.
I'm going to score Friday night.
Could you?
I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
I need one.
You need to turn up.
I need one.
One try.
I know.
You used to be a try machine.
Why is that, John?
I'm nowhere near. I'm literally nowhere near scoring a try.
What have you been doing?
I haven't been given a nice gift. I haven't been.
What would you do though? What have you doing? Because you're hardly known for.
I'm getting loads of ball. Like I'm passing the ball. Maybe it's because I'm a bit older. I'm passing the ball a little bit more. Second receiver, offload. Like I'm playing all right. I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is Bangalema,
all
we're
about the
in
team.
5th. We are in 5th. We're having a romantic season.
Are you?
Are you comfortable with 5th?
We're overachieving by all accounts.
Imagine coming here, taking all the cash, scoring 1 try, being happy in 5th.
Yeah,
How
but the
far the wheels
team-
must
There's
come
the
off of that.
team. You've got to understand where they've come from to where
Yes.
they're going
Lost me
to.
the word team.
But what were we talking about before we got
I've
to
absolutely no
strike
idea.
rate? Yeah,
Tries,
those
yes.
boys are scoring some tries.
Yeah. Bielle-Biarrey. Best
So
finisher
good.
in the game.
He's
right
just
now.
so fast, isn't he?
Any
I
of the
think he is.
Kiwis?
That beautiful. I tell you, James Lowe, pretty good.
6 tries in 14 games.
Yeah, Tom the
Only
producer.
14 games this season.
Tom the producer just cut in. It's crazy. Like I said, the resources and the way it's set up and the infrastructure that this Irish. I remember there's difference between like Fordy and Sexton. It is shocking when you look at the minutes and difference between these players and how much more work the English and the French boys play a lot of rugby as well.
Yeah.
And there is
It's not even double the cash, is
yeah,
it?
it's not double the cash, no.
Right.
But there's an argument that's great and it gets you on a roll and it's form and match fit. But yeah, the Irish boys have it good.
We were going to dive in detail ahead of the Investec Champions Cup final to who wins it and why. But just for a few weeks out, it could be an absolute cracker.
Yeah.
As games go. We've had some, I mean, actually last year's final was fantastic, it went to extra time. But I mean, these two, they will take every card they've got and throw it and play it.
I'm very excited. I don't know. I honestly can't call it now. Now I have no idea who's going to win.
Yeah, I
keep
don't have a clue.
dripping in these little anecdotes that the comeback in rugby is on and the speed is picking up. And point at the England performance in Cardiff. You look at what Northampton are doing. I think this European weekend, this Investec Champions Cup and Challenge Cup weekend, you've got Bath-Leon in the Challenge Cup, which again could be brilliant. And it's such an easy trip over the bridge for Bath fans. Tickets are selling fast for finals weekend in Cardiff, 23rd and 24th of May. Head to epcrrugby.com for more details. Grab a ticket. Actually, I think the Prem finals almost sold out as well. Another little drip into the bucket of positivity surrounding the game right now.
What a U-turn. As you can imagine, we would ramble on and on if it weren't for our team calling time on us every week. But all that is about to change thanks to our new partners, Watches of Bath. Whether you're looking to purchase, part exchange or sell your timepiece, Watches of Bath has you covered. And it's with thanks to Watches of Bath that every month we'll be putting one lucky grassroots player to the test, all in the name of winning a cash prize of up to £5,000, helping to take their club to the next level or have the social of a decade.
The contestant and their glamorous assistant will need to identify up to 6 mystery rugby players based on only the clubs they have represented in their career. Next week, Cheltenham Saracens will take the quiz. But if you want your chance to take part in June's quiz, please head to the link in the episode description to fill in the entry form with your club's name and details for your chance to win.
All entries have to be UK-based and it has to be money used for the club, not for personal use.
That was exceptional.
Thank you.
Well done, chaps. For extra content, subscribe to the Lock-In every week, £3.99 per month. Get in contact with us on our social media channels or by using the email info@goodbadrugby.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, or follow us as well, where you can get the latest rugby updates. John, what's left for the rest of the week?
Day off tomorrow.
What's that involve?
My garden's out of control.
Good grief.
Like we've got this bamboo that we're really trying to encourage to grow because we want it to grow over the fence.
Yeah.
And it's not growing very quickly. And I've been away for a couple of weeks. I've come back. There's a thistle that's as tall as me.
Right.
So have I slumped into some sort of alternate reality? How powerful is this cognac?
It's a remarkable
I swear
drink.
he just
It'll take you
said
to places
he's
that-
trying to grow bamboo and there's a thistle.
Yeah.
This thistle is enormous.
Right. Are you
so
growing the thistle or you want to get rid of the thistle?
No, we don't want the thistles to
Oh, so you want the bamboo, you want to
grow.
You're keeping the bamboo and getting rid of the
how
thistle.
are you going to encourage the bamboo
Well,
to
I've been
grow?
watering it and it's lots of sun.
Right.
Well,
But,
just
like,
shouted it, grow.
Yeah, we want it to grow over the fence to like make it look
Why?
nice because it just blocks the people looking in a little bit.
Oh.
Well, how long are you
Is that a
living? How are you
problem?
planning on being here for?
Well, we've got next season as well.
Oh.
Are the
It's
neighbours
nice.
nosy?
Bamboo
Pardon?
fortress.
Are the neighbours nosy?
Well, the next door neighbour's strange.
Oh, in what way?
He's just constantly putting up like antennas and barbed wire and.
Well, if I lived next to you
He's
and you
sprayed
were shouting
bamboo.
bamboo,
Very
I'd
much.
have antennas, guard towers,
No, but
dogs.
he's sprayed like on his own fence, no parking.
Right.
So he's like
Maybe he's having
not
maybe it's a cry
social.
for help.
So yeah, we sort of want to block him. We don't want to see him, and we want the bamboo to grow.
Bamboo and a thistle will do it. Anything you'd like to finish
Yeah,
with?
just like to say thank you to the House of
Done a very
Rémy
nice
Martin
job,
for
yeah.
a fantastic hosting. Honestly, the best surroundings.
Yeah.
Some of the finest, if not the finest, cognac I've ever had.
Yeah.
One of the most comfortable sofas as well.
Yeah.
Just to
In one of
reassure
those
you.
glorious settings.
Glorious
as the sun
settings.
goes down behind us.
We are very lucky and privileged to be here, so thank you so much for hosting it. It is a home away from home in comparison to the shed that we normally operate out of. Thank you, Rémy Martin, for the incredible hospitality. Enjoy responsibly.
Thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Continental Tyres, the official tyre partner to England Rugby. Remember, if you're looking for an award-winning tyre that can keep up with your every move, look no further than Continental Tyres. We are a folding pocket production. Well done, Northampton. Well done, Bordeaux. Well done, Rémy Martin. Have a very good week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the good, yay, the bad, and the rugby, oof, with Alex Payne, James Haskell, and Mike Tyndall. Thanks for listening.
I have arrived here off the back of 24 hours in Lille on the Richmond Under-13 rugby tour. I will tell you that Richmond didn't necessarily produce on the field of play, but my God, they are a good touring club.
Can I say how it went? Did they play against a lot of older boys that had like moustaches, were smoking?
I can remember you telling the story of your French trip when you must have been 13 or 14, and this was almost a carbon copy.
We were 50-0 down at half-time.
So I think this was 42 for Richmond. And, you know, I think they all, you know, they hung in there, etc. But it was an under-13 side against some kids of 14, 15, some of
Did you ever
12,
do a
13.
tour?
Yeah, but not in France.
Where'd you go?
Cornwall, like the Welsh border.
Sounds a bit more like a punishment than the tour.
Always
I
like
once went on a rugby tour with Kirby Long's.
Always Butlins, yeah.
Butlins, yeah.
Butlins. I honestly say I've never been to Butlins or a Centre Parks. Do I need that in my life to be more rounded?
Well, there's still time, James.
Where did you stay when you toured?
Well, I went to the exotic location of Calais for my tour.
That literally is. Let's go on tour to France. We're here.
Yeah.
That's like, there's not a lot of
I came up with
exploration off the
Holy
back
Trinity, bangers, adult magazines, and Flick Nice, that was it. That was perfect. That's what you went to France for.
Only one tour. We toured every Easter.
Did you?
Yeah.
Middle class.
What was the best tour you ever went on?
Well, like I said, I can't remember specific. I definitely remember Cornwall and then like Welsh teams.
Right.
But yes, Butlins, trailer parks.
I'm going to throw out very quickly, just because it literally I've come straight from it. I'm going to say a massive thank you to Jill, Jammers and Michelle, who are the heartbeat of Richmond Under-13s, and to Neil, Murray, Matt and Roger, who are the coaches who somehow keep full teams on the pitch on a weekly basis.
You're very good at that.
But I'm doing it not just because they are absolutely instrumental to the heart of a great club, but because in every single club that's out there, they will have their own characters who have got kids on the field week in, week out, have taken them on tour. We saw Teddington out there, Barnes were out there. I should think there are one or two sore heads.
Did the coaches get so drunk they were unable to coach at one point?
Well, that's classified information, but I mean, that would be a very good show on its own.
Because to say we turned up underprepared would be the biggest lie. Like we were supposed to have a scheduled training session, that got cancelled. The next morning, they were too hungover scheduled, so we sort of went into the game slightly cold.
I've actually put my bank details into the WhatsApp group, and I'm currently receiving funds from some of the parents on tour who do not want their details to be revealed. But it was such a good weekend, and it was almost the best bit of it was that everyone got on the bus apparently. The parents went and did their thing, the kids went and did their thing, and at the end of the weekend, everyone got back on the bus and went home. And that's what a tour should be.
I think that's what rugby's about: grassroots, touring, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, whatever you want to do, is definitely the way of touring. I think it's my
well done, Richmond Under-13s. Thank you to all those who make it what it is, and well done to you if you've put your heart and soul into your club over the course of the season, and you've finished with a flourish and a tour as well.